Welcome back, ladies, gents, non-binary friends. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. Again, I took some time off filming because honestly, I think I may be suffering from a little bit of seasonal depression. You know how some people talk about how they get sort of depressed and go into a slump when it comes to wintertime? That's me in summertime. I cannot function when it's hot. But I'm back today with a video that I'm very excited to make about the Philippines and all of the international queens that they have had over the years. I made a similar one about India that was lots of fun, just checking up on their history. And I decided to do the same with this major powerhouse country that we know as the Philippines. They have no less than 16 international queens. Now, obviously, in this video, I'm only going to be focusing on the major international pageants as I see them. So, Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, Miss Earth, Miss Supranational, and Miss Grand International. And yes, I did place those in order of importance as I see them from my personal perspective. So no other queens from any other pageants will be mentioned just because I don't see those as major pageants. I think that a lot of people around the world can somewhat agree that these are the 6 major pageants at the moment, of course, with the big 4 being the iconic ones, and then Miss Supranational and Miss Grand International only joining the fold recently, still building their reputation, but they're still major to me nonetheless. Before we get into this though, please do remember to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. I have been posting a lot of pageant stuff over there, so I would definitely love to have you. I also post polls and question boxes every now and then just to get you guys' opinions for these videos. It's lots of fun, so do remember to follow me on there if you don't want to miss out. But without further ado, let's get into this. So, the Philippines' first major international title holder was Gemma Cruz, and she held the title of Miss International 1964 when she was only 21 years old. Now, Miss International at that point had only started 4 years earlier, and actually the Philippines' most, I would say, successful pageant or pageant career lies within Miss International. That is the pageant which they hold the most titles at. But Gemma Cruz was the first to hold a Miss International title for the Philippines. 4 years later, of course, in 1969, Gloria Diaz ended up being the very first Filipino woman to win the title of Miss Universe. She was only 18 years old, and only a year after this, in the year 1970, Aurora Pijuan ended up winning the Philippines' second Miss International title. And just like Gemma, Aurora was also only 21. 3 years later, in 1973, the iconic Margie Moran won the Philippines' second Miss Universe title as well at the age of 19. And in 1979, something quite extraordinary happened. A 15-year-old Filipina girl won the Miss International crown. Yes, that's right. Melanie Marquez was only 15 when she won the Philippines' third Miss International crown. Isn't that crazy? Nowadays, of course, she would be in a teen division, but oh my gosh, I cannot believe that a 15-year-old has won Miss International. Crazy. The 70s, of course, was such a good decade for Filipino pageantry, especially at Miss Universe and Miss International. I mean, those are the only titles they won, the major titles. And they actually didn't win any titles in the 1980s and 90s, But in 2005, they came back with a bang. 22-year-old Lara Quigaman. You guys know I can't pronounce names. Quigaman. I try my best. Okay, I do. I try. I swear. She won their 4th Miss International title. So obviously at this point, the Philippines have established themselves at Miss International thoroughly. They had 4 crowns. They had 2 Miss Universe crowns, and it was time for them to make their name known at a new pageant. So 3 years later, in 2008, 22-year-old Karla Henry won the Philippines' very first Miss Earth crown. Now, Miss Earth, of course, was established 8 years prior to this. No, 7 years prior to this, in the year 2001. I think it was very exciting, probably, for people in the Philippines to have a new major pageant to look forward to besides Miss Universe and Miss International. The domination did not stop there, however, as 5 years later, in the year 2013, Megan Young made history by winning the Philippines their very first Miss World crown. Megan, of course, was only 23 when this happened, so this was a tremendously important occasion, and until this day, this is the only time that the Philippines have ever won the Miss World crown, even though Miss World has been around since 1951. 2013 was a tremendously successful year for the Philippines because, as well as Megan winning the Miss World crown, 23-year-old Diaz Santiago won the Philippines' 5th Miss International crown. And not only this, Mutya Datul also won the Philippines' very first Miss Supranational crown. So, like I said, 2013 was a tremendously exciting and successful year for the Philippines abroad because they held three major international titles that year. And I definitely think that it was at this moment when pageantry in the Philippines was just kicked up a notch. I know that in the pageant community there is this stereotype that the Filipino pageant fans are the most dedicated and the craziest, and they are just so dedicated to pageantry and their queens. And I think that 2013 had something to do with this, definitely, because I can only imagine living in the country that I live in right now. Well, of course, if we had 3 major international titles in the same year, we would be so excited. So I can only imagine how the Filipino fans felt that year. That must have been such a great year for Filipino fans. And that was only the beginning of a freaking yearly international win for the Philippines up until 2018. So in 2014, 20-year-old Jamie Herrell won the Philippines' 2nd Miss Earth crown since 2008. And in 2015, 25-year-old Angela Ong ensured a back-to-back win for the Philippines at Miss Earth. I can only imagine just what fun it was to be a Filipino pageant fan during 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. Like, you guys must have had the best time having all of these wins. I can only imagine, since Shanique won Miss Supranational and my birth country South Africa won Miss Universe a few years ago. It's so much fun when your country actually does well internationally. Really, it does build morale amongst the fans. So just looking back at Filipino pageant history, It's no wonder that Filipino fans are so engaged and lively and so in love with pageantry, because looking at this history, you guys have never had reason to doubt your queens and doubt your organizations, and that's just amazing. But the fun didn't stop there in 2015, because as you all probably know, 2015 was of course the year that Pia Wurtzbach won the Philippines' third Miss Universe crown after the Steve Harvey mix-up. I don't think anyone can forget. She was 26 at the time, so of course 2015 was again a year where the Philippines held more than one international title, and that must have just been so amazing. In 2016, the Philippines of course grabbed yet another title when 24-year-old Kylie Versoza won the Philippines' sixth Miss International crown. The Philippines dominated the early 2010s at Miss Earth, and in 2017 it continued when 26-year-old Karen Ibasco won their fourth Miss Earth crown. And of course, every single pageant lover can probably remember the Philippines in 2018 at Miss Universe, Catriona with the iconic lava dress and the iconic lava walk and that incredible swimsuit performance that she did. I think everybody and their mother could agree in 2018 that Catriona was probably the one to beat and was probably going to win. I mean, my birth country, South Africa, ended up placing as first runner-up, and you know what? I wasn't even mad, because I knew that Catriona was such a threat, and of course she was, and she won the Philippines' fourth Miss Universe crown that year. Now, as you may have noticed, at the beginning I said that I was going to be covering Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, Miss Earth, Miss Supranational, and Miss Grand International. The Philippines has never held a Miss Grand International title, although they have come very close many times. They have found themselves in the top 5, top 3, final 2. They have found themselves very, very close to the crown, but they just haven't been able to reach it yet. Let me know what you think about the Philippines and their incredible pageant history. 16 crowns among 6 pageants, or among 5 pageants if we're not counting Miss Grand International. I think that's just incredible. Like, they do so well, and they always find themselves in the finals and in very high places close to the crown if they don't win. I just think the Philippines is an incredible pageant country, and sure, okay, they do have the fans do have a bit of a reputation, and that's something that they can work on, you know, for being a bit much sometimes, okay? I think that's a collective thing that we can sort of agree on. But I do think that somehow it's kind of warranted. I mean, you don't have to be rude about it, obviously, but your country is so amazing at pageantry. Like, they do so incredible at pageantry, and I think it's evident by the amount of crowns that they have collected. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that a new international crown is in the works for the Philippines? I mean, they haven't won an international crown for 5 years now, since 2018. Although they have come close, they do still find themselves in the top. So do you guys think that another international crown is in the works for the Philippines? Perhaps Miss Grand International? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!